So this was a time of intellectual fights in the field of macroeconomics with people like Bob Lucas or Tom Sargent on one side, Franco Modigliani, Bob Solo on the other. And we had a sense that there was a way of integrating the various positive elements on both sides. And the time had just come. We were both teaching the graduate macro sequence. I was doing it at Harvard, he was doing it at MIT. And we thought, okay, let's sit down and try to see where we are. And I think by luck, it was the right time. We may have been the right people, I don't know, but it was the right time. And it led to, what's known today as the new Keynesian approach to macro, which integrates a lot of the elements which have been there before, but in some integrated fashion. And I think it was a good book. Retrospectively, it really led the way to where we are today. As your previous speaker said, I mean, the shocks are always new, but the mechanisms tend to be more permanent.
Professor Fischer once told me, and folks, this is the character of Stan Fischer, that Samuelson was so angry with this upstart economist from Rhodesia that he grabbed the chalk out of his hand and threw it at the chalkboard. Take us, Olivier, from Samuelson up to Solow in the middle 1950s, inventing growth theory, to what Fischer and then Blanchard and others did. What was the MIT pixie dust that made for this economist?
So another anecdote about Franco Modigliani, which is in the seminars. He would get very agitated and he would go to the board and take the chalk. And once he had the chalk, there was absolutely no way for the speaker to go on. So the chalk clearly has played an important role in the construction of macro at MIT. But what's interesting, I think there's actually a difference between Bob Solow and Paul. Paul Samuelson really thought that macro had to deal with such aggregated variables, GDP, consumption, and so on, that there was really no hope of starting from micro principles. I mean, they guided you, but in the end, macro was a completely different field from which what we call micro foundations was just an illusion. And I think what happened over time is we thought, okay, so let's still try to start from micro foundations because we understand them better and try to reconstruct macro. And that's very much where Stan, and to a lesser extent me, were in trying to see, we could actually do a better job of starting from more micro-founded principles, assumptions. And that's what Stan did. I mean, he had a paper in 1977 in which he said, let's put things together in a very simple way. And that's the way to think about the economy, which was, I think, one of the lessons from the other side was expectations matter very, very much. And that makes macro really complicated. If I listen to your previous interview, that's absolutely central. How do people think about the future? How worried are they? And so on. And then the other is that there are many, what we call distortions, that the competitive model, that again, people like Lucas was pushing, was just not right, that there are a lot of imperfections in the world, which makes the economy not behave at all as it should. And I think the research agenda since then, and Stan really started it, was let's think about the distortions. Let's think about why is it that we have recessions when there's really no reason to have one, but it looks like it comes. How do we deal with it? What policies do we use? And so the amount of research which has gone on since 1975 roughly is gigantic, but it's very much in that direction.